The former head of the Roman Catholic Church in Scotland, Cardinal Keith O'Brien, is to leave the country for several months for what's being described as spiritual renewal, prayer and penance. The decision was made, we're told, in agreement with Pope Francis. Cardinal O'Brien resigned in March after he admitted poor conduct following sexual allegations dating back to the 1980s made by 3 priests and 1 former priest. Well, let's discuss this with our correspondent James Cook, who is in Glasgow. Leaving for a few months, what does it actually mean, James?
We don't really know is the honest answer to that, Jane. I mean, as you say, that spiritual renewal, prayer and penance is the description that the Vatican is putting on what Cardinal O'Brien will have to do now in his essentially exile, or at least temporary exile from Scotland. We don't know where he's going. They haven't released that information. I would be surprised if they did, given the interest from the media in Cardinal O'Brien. And indeed, it may be the interest from the media which has actually prompted this latest development, because photographs on the front page of the Scottish Sun newspaper a couple of weeks ago showed the Archbishop moving, the former Archbishop, he remains a cardinal though he's no longer Archbishop of St Andrews in Edinburgh, moving into what was essentially a retirement cottage in Dunbar in East Lothian, a cottage though which was owned by the church, and that prompted a flurry of criticism from some people and support from others, but it certainly, I think, alerted the Vatican, who we were told found his visibility to be unhelpful at that time, and I think that is why they have asked him simply just to disappear out of the way entirely from the public eye for the meantime.
Is there any other reaction as yet? Because to remind people, I mean, has been a hugely controversial character, very outspoken over very many years, and then this dramatic fall from grace earlier this year.
That's right. I mean, outspoken, but very popular as well within the church, a charismatic and popular figure for many churchgoers within the Catholic Church in Scotland. There has been reaction from a parish priest in Dunbar, in that part of the country where he'd been hoping to retire to. That priest saying that he would be prepared to fight the Vatican about this if necessary, that he regards this step as wholly unchristian essentially, and he says the house is still available to Cardinal O'Brien should he want it. But I think that the other observers of the issue and people who've been trying to get to the bottom of it, because you mentioned those initial 3 complaints from a priest and 1 from a seminarian, but then there were other complaints that followed about the Cardinal's behaviour, and I think a lot of other people are asking the question, Jane, what is the Church actually doing to investigate the detail of these complaints and to investigate who else knew what about the Cardinal's behaviour, and indeed other aspects of the way the Church was managed, particularly in its approach to the young men who were entering the priesthood back in the 1980s?
Yes, and perhaps we will hear something about that eventually. Thank you very much, James Cook.